Imagine telling Ace, Nick, Olandria, Taylor, Cierra, Huda, and every single Love Island USA Season 7 fan that the wildest drama of the year wouldn't happen in the villa, but after the show in Vegas at F1 because of one blurry clip. Because while everyone was still arguing over who should have won Love Island, replaying every Love Island Huda argument and debating whether this dating show did Nick and Olandria dirty or made Nicolandria iconic, the internet managed to convince itself that one F1 night out meant the end of Nick and Olandria, even though nobody could agree on what they were actually looking at.
Before we untangle whether Vegas was a strip club, a nightclub, or just a nightclub people wanted to call a strip club, do me one tiny favor. Tap subscribe like you're refreshing the Nicolandria hashtag at 3 a.m. It's free, it makes the algorithm slightly less evil, and it tells me to keep covering Nick, Olandria, Ace, Taylor, Cierra, Love Island USA, Love Island Season 7, all of it. All right, let's talk about how we went from Turkey and Black Friday deals to full-blown F1 conspiracy threads.
While timelines were still recovering from Love Island Season 7 chaos, the holiday weekend felt surprisingly normal on their pages. Nick was giving exactly what you'd expect from a guy who went from the dating show to Greek Fest to brand deals without a pause. Cozy family energy, jokes about food, and just enough chaos to remind you this is still the same man who could start a debate by breathing into a mic. You could practically smell the stuffing through the screen while he joked around, shared little moments, and made it clear he was exactly where a lot of people were that day. In a kitchen, near a plate, plotting seconds. On the other side, Olandria was doing what she does best, being on brand and on time. Amazon storefront links, cozy essentials, the kind of pieces that have been quietly living in her comments since the villa. The rug, the fits, the where did you get that items that finally landed in one place. Her Amazon storefront has basically turned into a live mood board of, I saw it on Love Island USA, and now I want it in my cart.
Her sisters dancing in the garage, music going, the kind of holiday energy where someone is definitely sweating out their twist out with a full choreography, and somebody's uncle is taking things way too seriously in a friendly game that nobody agreed was a tournament. On camera, both Nicola and Olandria look like people having regular family holidays, laughing, eating, chilling, and low-key recovering from months of filming, press, and tours. But while they were in kitchens and garages, the timeline was somewhere else entirely. The fandom brain wasn't in Alabama or Florida. It was still in Las Vegas, back at F1, still replaying one video, still arguing over the same question. Was Nicola at a strip club or at a normal F1 nightclub that happens to have poles, dancers, and bottle service? Let's rewind.
F1 Vegas is already chaotic on its own. Now, add influencers, reality stars, energy drink brands, and a fan base that has spreadsheets about Nicolandria eye contact, and you get exactly what you'd expect: absolute timeline meltdown. What we do know from regular outlets is that Nick was in Las Vegas for F1 Race Week festivities and was spotted at events with Celsius, along with other celebs and influencers who were doing the whole fuel up and hit the paddock thing. Totally normal. Reality star gets big on a dating show, signs brand deals, and then gets flown out to a huge event weekend to smile, wave, and drink things with logos on them. That's literally the job description. Then, a clip drops. It's dark, it's loud, it's what looks like an after-party spot with lights, poles, dancers, and a lot of phones in the air. Some people swear it's a strip club. Other people say immediately, that's an F1 after-party nightclub, calm down. And the problem is, the clip isn't a documentary. It's 5-10 seconds of chaos. From there, the dominoes fall, exactly like you'd expect on the internet. Someone posts, Nick was at a strip club after F1 while Olandria was home. Someone else replies, that's literally XS Vegas. It's a nightclub after the F1 race. They do this every year. Another person stitches it with a caption like, is this your Love Island Season 7 runner-up? And of course, YouTube commentary videos pop up using words like allegedly
every 5 seconds because nobody wants to get sued.
Some people are convinced it's cheating. Some people are convinced it's just a regular appearance in a regular Vegas club. Most people haven't even watched the clip with the sound on. Here's the important thing. Nobody has produced solid public proof that Nick did anything beyond what you'd expect from a paid appearance in a Vegas nightlife setting during F1 weekend. No brand has come out and said, yes, we booked him at a gentleman's club. No club has plastered his face on flyers to cash in on the scandal. It's mostly fans arguing about labels and camera angles. And people who were actually in Vegas that weekend keep saying the same thing. It was a branded, F1-adjacent nightclub moment in a place that throws wild parties every year and not some secret, seedy double life. So if the receipts are this shaky, why did the discourse explode? To see that, you have to zoom out from one Vegas night and look at the bigger pattern of how Nick and Olandria have been moving since they stepped out of the villa.
Let's stick to what's public and verifiable. News coverage about Vegas race weekend put Nick exactly where you'd expect a rising reality star with brand deals to be, in the mix with other celebs and influencers, enjoying the F1 Grand Prix, posting from events, and being mentioned in the same breath as Celsius, while they fueled up talent across race week festivities. F1 weekends aren't just about the race. They're about suites and brand lounges, trackside content, and nighttime after-parties where half the crowd is there for networking and the other half is there for vibes.
Vegas especially loves an after-party, and those venues blur a lot of lines. There are poles, but it's technically a nightclub. There are dancers, but it's marketed as a show. There's bottle service, couches, sparklers, and logos everywhere. So when the clip of Nick surfaces, people don't just see one night. They see every fear they already had. People who never liked him. See, I told you. People who are rooting for other ships. This is the proof I was waiting for. People who want Nicolandria to last. Please tell me this is a nightclub and not what people are saying.
And instead of asking, what were the terms of his contract? What are their private boundaries? Was this just part of the F1 work weekend? Most of the timeline went for the simple, dramatic label, strip club. It's worth repeating, there is no widely reported, independently confirmed evidence that Nick secretly snuck off to some random strip club behind everyone's back. What we actually have is confirmation he was in Vegas for F1 with Celsius, short, chaotic clips from a nightlife spot, and fans arguing over what that place counts as, which says more about us than it does about him. But to understand why Nicolandria fans are so intense about this, you have to remember how they've moved as a couple since the villa.
Since Love Island USA Season 7 ended, Nick and Olandria have basically lived on planes. Greek Fest tour flyers, college bar nights, and surprise appearances show Nick popping up in places like Gainesville, College Station, San Marcos, and more. Crowds chant, phones fly over the DJ booth, and people literally hold up signs that say, "Where's Olandria?" because they see him and automatically picture her right next to him. That's the kind of fan base we're dealing with. When Nick shows up alone, the first question is still, "Where's Olandria?" And at the same time, Olandria's been building her own lane. Campaigns, fashion moments, Amazon storefront links, magazine shoots, and red carpets. This isn't a situation where two people moved to the same neighborhood and started playing house. It's a long-distance, high-pressure, content-driven relationship. Remember that viral fan story from the Texas Tech tailgate where a girl said Nick was on FaceTime with Olandria pretty much the whole time she saw him? Whether you take that as gospel or just as a cute anecdote, it fits the pattern people think they're seeing. Every time he's somewhere wild, their instinct is, okay, but is Olandria on the phone? Greek Fest made that even more obvious. There were reports from different college towns of girls throwing phones at security in the DJ booth to get shout-outs, people asking him to say hi to their friends, and fans chanting about Nicolandria like it was a sports team instead of a couple. So when that same fan base sees a Vegas clip with no FaceTime, no cutaway to her, and no obvious "this is work" caption, their brains go into overdrive. It's not logical, it's emotional. It's, we're used to seeing him in wild spaces while staying tethered to her. Why doesn't this clip show that? And the answer is probably very boring, because it's a 5-second video taken by someone who is more focused on the lighting and the DJ drop than on capturing relationship context.
To really get why this discourse won't die, you have to zoom out even further to the bag. Nick didn't walk out of Love Island USA Season 7 and say, "Okay, that was cute, back to regular life." He launched into a full-time content grind. Greek Fest tour stops across Texas and beyond put him in front of packed bars and college crowds, where he basically turned the momentum from the dating show into a live party brand. Articles about these events literally describe crowds screaming, throwing phones, and queuing just to be in the room. At the same time, Olandria's career took off in a way we don't see for every Love Island contestant. She went from the villa to signing with major talent management, getting fashion and beauty campaigns, modeling for swimwear and lifestyle brands, and building our own Amazon storefront and style influence. Together, they've been part of collabs with brands like NYX, Agua de Kefir, Sweet Green, and others that clearly see Nicolandria as a package deal worth investing in. And in interviews and lives, they've both talked about wanting to change their families' futures, retire parents, and use this short window of attention to build something generational, not just chase 15 minutes of clout. When you look at it that way, the F1 Vegas weekend doesn't look like some random wild night. It looks like part of the job. Show up, look good, shake hands, take pictures, and be seen at the right events with the right logos. Is it glamorous? Sure. Is it also exhausting, confusing, and easy to misunderstand from the outside? Absolutely.
And that's where a lot of the tension with fans comes from. They want a fairy tale couple who sits at home and watches movies every night. The brands want a couple that will fly across the country for F1, fashion weeks, award shows, and club appearances. Nick and Olandria are trying to be both, and sometimes the get-the-bag side is louder than the cozy, romantic side on camera. By the way, if you've made it this far into the video, and you're still with me through F1, Greek Fest, Amazon hauls, and all this fandom psychology, go ahead and hit subscribe real quick. Think of it like supporting a small creator the way Nicolandria fans support their NYX lip kits, just with less eyeshadow fallout.
Let's be real. The Vegas nightclub versus strip club argument says way more about the audience than it does about Nick. On one side, you have people who are genuinely invested in Nicolandria. They've watched every live, read every article, know every Ace, Taylor, and Cierra beat from Love Island Season 7, and they just want this couple to make it. They're tired, they're protective, and they're skeptical of anything that looks like sabotage. On the other side, you've got people who never liked Nick, never liked the ship, or feel like other couples deserved the spotlight. For them, the Vegas clip is not just a clip, it's a chance to be right. If they have spent months saying, "He's not serious," then one low-quality video becomes their victory lap. Then there's a third group, people who are just here for mess. They don't care if Nick was at a strip club, a nightclub, or Disneyland. They want a storyline. They want a scandal. They want to say, Love Island men are all the same and move on.
Add in the second fan base, who seem more committed to the narrative Nick cheated than to anything actually happening in his or Olandria's real lives, and you end up with something wild. People arguing harder about a 5-second clip than Nick and Olandria have publicly argued about anything with each other. And remember, none of these people are in the relationship. They don't know the text messages, the calls, the boundaries, or the honest conversations that happened after Vegas. What we actually know, watching from the outside, is this. They're still posting, still working, still living their lives. Their careers keep going up, not down. They still show up at events, campaigns, and content shoots that make sense for a couple whose brand is literally Nicolandria. It's not giving, "we secretly hate each other now." It's giving, "we are two busy 20-somethings trying to juggle long distance, fame, and a fan base that watches our every move." If you strip away the edits, the fan wars, and the Vegas frame-by-frame analysis, what's left is a pretty simple picture. Nick and Olandria look like a couple that has been together for a few intense months, not a decade. They look like two people who care about each other, enjoy each other, and are trying to translate a Love Island USA connection into real life under insane pressure. Are they perfect? Of course not. Are they navigating things most of us will never deal with, like being recognized everywhere they go and having every club night turned into a fandom investigation? Definitely. From the outside, what we can say is they're still working, both together and individually. Their names keep showing up in campaigns, events, and press. And every time there's a wave of negativity, there's an equal or bigger wave of fans who show up to defend them and remind everyone why Nicolandria became a thing in the first place.
So, was Vegas the massive betrayal some people wanted it to be? From what we know publicly, no. It looks more like a normal F1 brand weekend that got turned into a morality trial by people who were already waiting to be mad. If anything, this whole saga has just proven how big their impact really is. Couples that nobody cares about don't get this level of scrutiny. There are plenty of other Love Island USA ships who disappeared into regular life with a couple of fast food deals and then faded from timelines. Nicolandria didn't do that. They turned their moment into tours, campaigns, and a brand that still has people arguing months after the villa closed. And honestly, whether you're pro Nicolandria or not, that's impressive.
Here's where I land. Yes, people should hold influencers accountable when they actually mess up. No, we shouldn't build entire conspiracy boards out of a nightclub clip that doesn't come with context. And absolutely, we should remember that we are not inside this relationship. We're just watching what they choose to show. So, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Vegas F1 night was a genuine red flag? Or did the fandom just need new drama now that Love Island Season 7 is over? Do you think the real story here is Nick's choices or our obsession with turning every weekend into a scandal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Keep it respectful, keep it race-free, keep it focused on behavior and facts, not on tearing down real people over speculation. And if you made it all the way to the end of this deep dive, hit subscribe like you're securing front row tickets to the next Nicolandria era. Short tap, big impact. I'll see you in the next one.